Okay, sir. Now we will find the value of this constant k is 9 into 10 raised to the power 9. Okay, and the value of this constant, there is no this SI unit because this is a constant. Okay, the value is 9 into 10 raised to power 9, and the value of epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to the power minus 12. Okay, so this value is for vacuum only. Okay, this value is only for vacuum. For other materials, what you will do, they will give you the value in the question only. But in case they will not give you the value, then what you can do is they will give you the value of epsilon r. Okay, they will give you the value of epsilon r. Okay, epsilon r is basically the relative value of permittivity with respect to vacuum. What I mean by this, that it is the value of vacuum with respect to water or anything. Okay, so if they give you the value of if they give you the relative value and you know the value of vacuum already, I told you this value you have to remember 8.85, then you can find out the value of epsilon water. Okay, so either they will give you the value of this directly, or they will give you the value of relative permittivity. Okay, so what is the definition of relative permittivity? Relative permittivity is basically the ratio of the permittivity of vacuum to the permittivity of the material. It can be water or it can be air or anything. Okay, it is the ratio of vacuum and the material that we are talking of. That is the relative permittivity. Okay, so this was the basics of the Coulomb law. Okay, we will see this in detail. It's a very important topic. Okay, now next topic is the Coulomb law in vector form. Okay, this is a very important derivation. Okay, this is often asked in your exams for 3 or 5 marker. So basically, why are we using this vector form? Okay, this is basically to find out the direction of the force. I told you it is a force. Okay, the magnitude can be found out by q1 q2 upon r square. You can find that out. Okay, but to find out the direction you have to use the vector form. Okay, so this vector form is very important. Also, it indicates to us that why I told you one thing in the beginning, that if there is force, this is a charge q1 and there is a charge q2. Okay, I told you that these two will repel each other with equal force. I told you this thing. Yes, the force they repel each other will be equal. I told you. So I am going to verify this with the Coulomb law, why this force is equal. Okay, so this is why we are basically trying to find the Coulomb law in vector form. Now we will start this. So let's start. So first of all, I will make Cartesian axis. Cartesian plane. This is the y axis. This is the x axis. Okay. Now we will assume there is a charge q here, q1. Okay. This is the origin here. Okay, and there is another charge, that is q2. Okay. Now I am going to write in the chapter vectors. I already told you what is a position vector. Position vector is a displacement vector that is drawn from the origin. So it is at a this displacement vector that forms that q1 is at a displacement of r1 from origin, okay, and q2 is at a displacement of r2. I hope that is clear. Okay, now we will look at the distance between q1 and q2. Okay, now when we go from q1 to q2, okay, when we go from q1 to q2, I will say this distance to be r12. When you go from q1 to q2, okay, this is the very important concept in this one. Why I did this, I am making this vector, displacement vector in this way, I will tell you later, okay. When you go from q1 to q2, what will be the displacement? r12, 1 to 2, okay. I hope that is clear. And when you go from q2 to q1, when you go from q2 to q1, then the displacement vector will be r21, r21. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now, this is the very important thing. Now we will go forward. Now this is also positive and this is also positive. What will happen? Both of them will repel each other. Okay, so I will draw a force here that is showing the repulsive force. Okay, I will show another repulsive force here. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now I will use a notation here. I will write here F21. Okay, what does this mean? F21 means that F21 means basically the force acting on charge 2 due to charge 1. Okay, force acting on charge 2 due to charge 1 you will represent by F21. Okay, and here the force I will write as F12. What does F12 mean? Force acting on charge 1 due to this charge 2 is known as F12. Okay, now I hope that is clear to you all. So we will go ahead. We will find out the value of F12 and F21. Okay, we will find out the value of F12 and F21. So what will be F12? F12 will be how much? F12 will be K Q1 Q2 upon, now you must have been thinking why I put this R12 and R12. Now basically R21 and R12, basically in which direction is the force acting on this one? In this direction, F12. So which displacement vector will you use? You will use this one. Okay, so the displacement vector will be R21. Okay, so what will come here? R21 whole square. Okay, and to indicate the direction, okay, so I will indicate the direction using a unit vector. Okay, I will indicate the direction using the unit vector. So it is in the direction of this. Okay, so I will write here R21 cap. What does R21 cap indicate? That this is a unit vector of R21 in this direction, so this will indicate that this force is in this direction. Okay, so thus it helps us in finding, this indicates R21 cap indicates the direction, because force is a vector quantity, I have told you already. So we need to indicate the direction. So R21 cap indicates the direction. It is in the direction of unit vector of R21. Okay, now we will write the next case. F21. What will be F21? What will be F21? K Q2 Q1 upon what will be the displacement? The force is acting in this direction. So which displacement vector you will use? You will use this one, R12. So here it will be R12 whole square. and in which direction it is facing? It is facing in this direction, so I will make a unit vector here, r12. R12 is basically indicating the direction. Okay, so this is the value of f12 and f21 with respect to their directions. Okay, this is why the vector form is important, to indicate the direction. Now the second thing that I am going to prove is that f12 and f21, they are equal in magnitude. Okay, how will I prove that? That we will see. They are equal and opposite to each other. Okay, equal and opposite, remember that. See, they are equal in magnitude, but they are opposite in direction. You can see this is going this way and this is going this way. Even though their magnitude is same, but their direction will be opposite. Okay, so we will see how that is opposite. So you all have studied the triangle law with me earlier. Okay, so now we will use that only. So you can see I am making this diagram again here. This one here was R1. Okay, first we will talk about R21. Okay, this here is R21 and this here is R2. I hope this diagram is clear. I have just made this diagram again here with only one position vector, that is R21. Why I have done it, I will tell you later. Okay, now we will apply triangle law in this. Okay, I have already told you triangle law. So you will see in which direction R2 and R, what does the triangle law state? That whenever two vectors are acting in the same directions, you see, in anti-clockwise direction, the resultant is given by the third side in opposite direction. So according to triangle law, I can write here. I will write here R2 plus R21 is equal to R1. R2 plus R21 is equal to R1. Okay. Now further I will simplify this. I have to find the value of R21 and R12. Okay. So R21 will be equal to R1 minus R2. Okay. This is a very important value. This I will make as number 1 equation. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now I will make this diagram again. I will make some modifications. Okay, earlier we had shown R21 vector, now we will show only R12 vector. Now we will show only R12 vector. So here I will write R12, okay, and here I will write R2, here I will write R1. Okay, so again I will apply the triangle law. What does the triangle law state? R1 plus R12 is equal to R2. Okay, so R1 plus R12 is equal to R2. Or R12 is equal to R2 minus R1. Okay, I hope that is clear to you all. So now look at these two equations. This is equation 2. I will write again here. I will write it again here. Not a problem. R12 was R2 minus R1. R21 was R1 minus R2. Okay. Now from these two equations, can you see a pattern here? What can you see here? If I take out the minus common from this one, okay. If I take out minus common here, okay, I took out the minus common. Okay, upon taking out the minus common, this and sorry. Okay. After taking out the minus common, R12 and R21, I can say like this, that R12 is equal to minus R21. Can I say this? You can all see, yeah, because you took out the minus common, so this and this is almost, this is same except for the minus sign. So So you can say R12 is equal to minus R21. Okay, now you look at these equations. Now I will substitute the value here. Okay, I will rub this. So we found out that R1 minus R21. Okay, so you can substitute that value here. Okay, so what will you get? I will substitute this value in this equation. Sorry, I will substitute in this equation. Okay, so F21 you will get as K Q1 Q2 upon minus R21 whole square. Okay, into minus R21 cap. Okay, so now you can see from here, from equation 3 and 4, what are you observing? These two equations are exactly same except for this minus sign. Okay, so what can I say? I can say that F12 is equal to minus F21. What does this mean? It means that the two forces are equal and opposite. This minus sign indicates that the other force that was acting was in opposite direction. Okay, this indicates opposite direction. So hence I have proved from the vector form of Coulomb law that the force that acts on the two charges are equal and opposite in nature. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. So this was the vector form of the Coulomb law. Okay. Now let's go further. Okay, let's do the next topic, that is principle of superposition. Okay, first I will read the definition. The principle of superposition states that when a number of charges are interacting, then the resultant force on a particular charge is given by the vector sum of the forces exerted by the individual sum. What does this mean? Now I will show you in detail. So this definition means that, let's assume there is a charge Q1. Okay, there is a charge Q1 here, it's positive in nature. Then there is one charge that is Q2. One charge is Q3. One charge is Q4. Okay, now all these three charges, they are interacting with this one charge Q1 here. Okay, all these three charges are acting with this one charge Q1 over here. Okay, so what happens is that to find the net resultant force on these two charges, this charge, what we will do? First of all, this principle of superposition states that it is the vector sum of the force that is acting on this charge due to all these three charges. So what are the forces? Now this charge Q4, it will repel this charge Q1? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, this will also repel. Okay, but we are talking about the net force on this charge. So we will look at only this one. There is the repulsive force here also, but we are only looking at this charge only. We are trying to find the resultant force on this charge. Okay. Now the second charge Q3, I will write this force as F1, 2. What does F12 mean? Force acting on 1 due to charge Q2. Okay. Now, okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, that the force that is acting, it will always act along the line joining the two charges. What is the line joining the two charges? It is this one, yeah. So the force will always act along this line only. Okay. Okay. Second thing, this Q3 charge, that also applies a force on this charge Q1. Okay, in which direction this force will act? It will try to along the same line. It will act somewhere along here, and here also there will be a force, but we are talking about this one only. Okay, so what will be the force here? F13. Okay, and last, this charge will also repel. Okay, this charge will also repel. So the force acting here will be F14. Okay, so now you can see there are three forces acting on this charge: F14, F13, and F12. Okay, now what does the superposition law state? It states that to find the force on this charge, you have to do the vector sum of all these three forces. Okay, now how you will do the vector sum, that we will see with the numerical also, but I will try explaining you here. Might not be clear, but it will be clear when we do the numerical. Okay, so let us assume the angle was theta here and angle here was alpha. Okay, so you have read the parallelogram law. So you can find the resultant of these two forces. Okay, you can find the resultant of these two forces using parallelogram law. What was the parallelogram law? It was basically when two forces A and B are acting, two vector A and B are acting, their resultant is given by, we have done this, A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. You all must remember this. Yeah, I told you already this formula. So you will apply the same thing here. So you will get a single vector instead of these two vectors. Okay, so I will rub this. Now this is representing these two vectors. Okay, so I will give this a name of F4. Okay, now only two forces are remaining, this and this. So now again you can use the, you know this angle, and you can use the parallelogram law and find the resultant again. So this is how you will find the net force that is acting on this single charge by using parallelogram law. Okay, we will see this with the numerical, don't worry. So in simple terms I can write it that the force acting F on Q1, F is equal to F due to Q2 plus F due to Q3 plus F due to Q4. Okay, if there are n charges, too many charges, that will be the sum of n up till Fqn. As the number of charges is increasing, you can simply do the method that I told you. Okay, this is the principle of superposition. But why is the principle of superposition used? It is used to find the force acting on a single charge due to many charges. These are the many charges, and this is the single charge we are talking about. Okay, so now we will do one numerical. It will make your concept clear. Okay, so we will do example number 10.4. It's given in your book. So let's start it. First we will rub this. So the numerical is as follows: 3 charges of 2 microcoulomb. Okay, I hope you all know what is micro. They write this. We use the symbol here as mu c. What does mu mean? It means micro. Okay, micro, and its value is 10 raised to the power minus 6. So when I say mu c, it means microcoulomb. Okay, micro is 10 raised to the power minus 6 coulomb. Okay, so now we are talking about this. 3 charges of 2 microcoulomb, 3 microcoulomb and 4 microcoulomb are placed at points A, B and C respectively as shown in figure A. Determine the force on A due to the other charges. So let us do this question. The diagram is given in your book already. This is example number 10.4. Okay, so here in the numerical, the sides, the length of the sides is given to you already. In the question, it is already given that this is A point, this is B point, this is C point. They are basically, this is a right angle triangle on the side, on the edges of which three charges are kept. They are namely 2 microcoulomb, 3 microcoulomb and 4 microcoulomb. Okay, the thing that is given to you here is AB is 4 meter. This distance AB is 4 meter. Okay, and the value of BC is 3 meter. Now this is the data that is given to us, and we have to use this data to find the force acting on A. So what they have asked us? They have asked us to find the force acting on A due to this and this charge. This is what we have to find. Okay, so the force acting on A due to this charge will be these two charges, 2 microcoulomb and 3 microcoulomb. What will be the force? We will try and find out, but which direction will it be? It will be somewhat like this. Yes, repulsive in nature. I will name this as FAB. FAB. What does this mean? Force acting on A due to B. Okay, now we will go further. This is the first force that is acting. See, there is only plus, this is plus 2 microcoulomb and this is also plus 3, so it will be repulsive force. So I have made the arrow pointing outwards. That means they are both repelling each other. Okay. Now we will look at this 4 microcoulomb. This is also plus and this is also plus. So what will happen? Repulsion will happen. Okay. So another force will act on this one. What will be the magnitude of that force? I will say FAC. I will name it FAC. We will find the magnitude later. This one will act also in this one, FAC. Okay, I hope that is clear to you all. So now what we have to do here is, now we have to find out the value of FAC and FAB. Okay, and after doing that, we have to find the resultant of FAC and FAB, because there are two forces acting. We have to find out their resultant to find the single force that is acting on these two. Okay, so first we will find FAB. So I told you the formula already. K Q1 Q2 upon R square was the formula. I guess you remember. Okay, so we will substitute the values here. What is the value of K? 9 into 10 raised to the power 9. And Q1 is how much? Q1 I will say is 2 microcoulomb. Okay, so it will be 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 6. Q2 I will say is this one. I will name them. This is Q1, this is Q2, and this is Q3. Okay, so 2 into 10 raised to minus 6 into 3 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 upon R square. What is R? R is the distance between the two charges, and R is what? 4 meter. So 4 square. Okay, so I am not going to waste the time solving this. I will just tell from the book what is the value. The value is, you can try it at home, but the answer comes. Okay, so okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, this one was in centimeter. This is centimeter. Okay, so if it is in centimeter, then you have to convert it in meter. You will always use the metric form of the unit. Okay, if it is mm, centimeter, anything, you have to always use in centimeter, meter. Okay, so here it will be 4 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 whole square. Okay, so upon solving, you can try this at your home. 33.7 Newton. It comes out to be 33.7 Newton. Okay, so you will write this value for now. FAB comes out to be 33.7 Newton. Now next thing that we are going to find is FAC. What we are going to find is FAC. So what is the value of FAC? Same, K Q1 Q3 here, Q1 Q3 upon R square. What is R? R is basically the distance AC. This is A, yeah, AC square. Sorry, here also I forgot to write. Here it was AB square. Here it will be AC square. So do we know the value of AC? We don't know it yet. Okay. So to find the value of AC, how will you find? You know these two sides. This is 4 meter and this one is 3 meter. So you can use the Pythagoras theorem. Okay. So AC will be 4 square plus 3 square under root 16 plus 3, 9, 25. It comes out to be 5. So this side is 5 meters. I hope that is clear. Okay. So K, Q1, Q3. K is 9 into 10 raised to the power 9. What is Q1? 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 6. Okay. And Q3 is 4 into 10 raised to the power minus 6. And AC square is how much? It is centimeter. Sorry, again 5 centimeter. So 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 whole square. So this is how you will find out AC. Okay. So what does FAC come out to be? FAC comes out to be 28.8 Newton. Okay. Now you know these two forces. Okay. Now what you have to do is this angle is 90 degree. Okay. And this, since this is a right angle triangle. Okay. So what we have to do here now is we have to try and find out this angle. Okay, if we find out this angle, we can find out this angle. Why I am trying to say you that we have to find out this angle is because see, these two forces, they are acting at an angle. Okay, they are acting at an angle. I'll rub all of this. This is 28.8. This is 33.7. Okay. I will simplify this diagram for you further. Okay. Now just look here. I am just magnifying this part. This here is charge Q1. Q1 is what? 2 microcoulomb. Okay. Now on this charge Q1, one force that is acting here is 33.7 Newton. The other force that is acting here is 28.8 Newton. You know these two forces. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to find out the resultant of these two forces. Okay. So to find out the resultant, you know, you can use the parallelogram law. Okay. But you need to know this angle theta, the angle between these two forces, because you know the formula of parallelogram law. What is the formula for parallelogram law? If the angle is theta, A, B, it will be under root A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. This is the formula. So you obviously need the theta. That you must have realized. Okay. So to find the value of theta, you will use a trigonometry. So basically this angle is theta. This will be also theta. Okay. So I will try and find out this angle now. To find out this angle, what we can do is we will use trigonometry. So look in triangle ABC. Base is 4 centimeter, hypotenuse is 5 centimeter. Okay. So base upon hypotenuse is what? Cos theta. Base upon hypotenuse is what? It is cos theta. You can see it here, yes. So see, there are two things you can do here now. Either you can find out theta. Theta will be cos inverse 4 by 5. Yes, and then you can look at trigonometric tables and find out the value of theta. Or you already know the value of cos theta. Cos theta is what? 4 by 5. This theta and this theta is same, yes. And you have to use cos theta here in this table. Okay. So what is the value of cos theta? You already know. 4 by 5. You found out from this triangle. Okay. So now you will simply substitute the values. So I will put here according to triangle law. Resultant force R is equal to 28.8 square plus 33.7 square plus 2 into 28.8 into 33.7 into cos theta. Cos theta is how much? 4 by 5. Okay, so upon simplifying this, the answer that comes out to be is 59.3 Newton. This is your answer. I hope that is clear. Okay, so now one more thing that is left for us to do. Now we have found out the resultant. This is the resultant vector. This is the force that is acting. This here is the force that is acting. This force is how much? 59.3 Newton. But still one thing is left to do. This force is a vector quantity. Yes. So you have to also tell them one more thing. You have to tell them the angle at which it is lying. It must be making some angle alpha. Yes. So you must also tell the angle. You know the value. The value is 59.3 Newton. Now how you will find out the angle? So we had seen the formula. Tan alpha is equal to B sin theta plus A plus B cos theta. I hope you all remember this. We just did it. So we know cos theta already. We know the value of cos theta. Okay. What value is left now? We have to find out sin theta. So just look at this diagram again. What will be sin theta? In triangle ABC, sin theta will be 3 perpendicular upon hypotenuse. So that will be 3 upon 5. So sin theta is 3 upon 5 and cos theta is 4 upon 5. So now what you will do? You will simply substitute the values here. So upon substitution of values, the value of B was how much? 33.7. A was 28.8. Sorry, I forgot. 33.7 into sin theta, 3 by 5. 28.8 plus 33.7 into 4 by 5. Okay, so upon solving this, the alpha comes out to be, you will take the tan inverse, and the answer alpha that comes out is 36.87. 36.87. You can try this. I don't want 7 degree. This is the answer. Okay. We are not talking about the answer. The concept is the important thing here. Okay. So alpha will be 36.87 degrees. Okay. So this is in general how you will solve these questions of Coulomb law. Okay. This is the general way to solve these questions. Okay. So I hope this concept is clear. We will do more questions also when we reach the end of the exercise. There are many questions regarding the same topic, so we will do them later. So this was just like a starter. Okay. So now we will go forward. I will rub this. Okay, the next topic is electric field. Okay, so it's quite simple. Okay, what is the concept of electric field is, say you have kept a big charge here. It is of magnitude Q. Okay, so to find the electric field around this charge, what you will do, you will bring a small test charge. See, there are two things. One is source charge, around which we are going to find the electric field. The topic we are doing is electric Okay, this is the name of the topic that we are doing. Okay, so what I was talking about, how to find the electric field around this source charge. Okay, it is by the name Q and it has a magnitude of plus Q. This is a positive charge. Okay, so what will happen? This is a test charge. This one small charge here is test charge. This is the test charge. Okay. So when you bring this test charge over closer to this is also positive. Okay, this is positive charge and this is also positive. So what will happen when you are bringing it from infinity? You are slowly bringing it here. Okay, there a point will come when you will experience a repulsive force. When say I have brought it here. Okay, now at this point you find it difficult to move it inside. Why? Because this plus Q charge, it is trying to repel it. Why? Because this is also a plus charge. This is a plus charge and this is a plus charge. What will happen? Repulsion will happen. Okay, so around every source charge, around every charge, there is a space. Okay, there is a space. Okay, there is a space in which you will, whenever you bring a charge, it will experience a force. Okay, so the space. Okay, we did this experiment like this. We tried bringing this charge from here also, from here also, from here also. So it was found out that at all these points, this test charge was experiencing repulsive force. Okay, so the locus of all these points is known as the electric field. So in layman terms, what is electric field? Electric field is the space around a charge in which if we bring a small test charge, it will experience a force. Okay, now this force can be attractive also or repulsive also. In case this charge was negative, what would have happened? This plus Q charge, it could have been pulled inside. Okay, it would have been pulled inside. Okay, so this is basically, electric field is basically the space around this source charge in which whenever I will bring a charge, it will experience some force. That force can be attractive, that can be repulsive, that depends upon the source charge. Okay, I hope that is clear. So this is the electric field. Okay, now we will draw some I will show you a method to represent the electric field. Okay, so in case there is a positive charge, what will be the shape of the electric field lines? There will be electric field. Okay, so whenever I bring the test charge, what will happen? It will push it away. So at every point it will try to push it away. So for positive charge, the electric field lines are like this. Because whenever what is electric field line? First of all, I forgot to tell. Electric field line is basically the path that is traced by the test charge. It is the path traced by the test charge. So this is the electric field line for a positive charge. Okay. Now in case of a negative charge, let's see a negative charge. Now whenever you bring a small test charge towards it, what will happen? It will pull it towards itself. Okay. If you bring from here, then also it will pull. If you bring from here, then also it will pull. If you bring from here, then also. So at all points it will try to pull. Okay. So this is the case of negative. In case of negative source charge, the electric field lines will look like this. Okay. Another example. In case of, okay, that should be enough for now. We will look more in further topics. We will look at more of these electric field line diagram. This was just a basic. Okay. So next thing that is important is, what is the electric field intensity? Electric field intensity is nothing but it is a method of representing the strength of the electric field. Okay, so I already told you, whenever you bring a unit charge, it will experience a force. Okay, but here two charges there. Okay, so to find out the strength of the electric field, what we try to do, we bring a unit charge here. Okay, and we try to find out the force between them. Okay, so what is the basically definition of electric field? Intensity. I will read the definition. Electric field intensity basically is the amount of force experienced by a unit charge. It is the amount of force experienced by a unit charge. Unit charge means a charge which has a magnitude of 1 coulomb. Okay, so let us assume this is a charge Q kept here, and the distance between them is R. Okay, so what does the definition of electric field intensity say? Force experienced by a unit charge. Okay, this is the definition of electric field intensity. What is electric field intensity? Basically, it is the strength of electric field. Okay, or you can write this as E is equal to K. F is F. What is F? K Q1. F is K Q1 Q2 by R square. So Q1 is Q and Q2 is Q naught. So upon Q naught. So here this and this will cancel. So we get electric field intensity as K Q upon R square. Okay, so whenever I say I kept a charge of 5 microcoulomb here, okay, and I have to find out the strength of its electric field at a distance of 5 centimeter. I have to find a distance at this distance. If I bring a charge, how much force it will experience. Okay, so how will you find out? You will find the intensity, electric field intensity. You can find out K Q upon R square. Okay, you will know this value. You can know this 9 into 10 to the power 9 into Q is 5 into 10 to the power minus 6 upon 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 whole square. So you can find out this value. So you will know the strength of electric field at this point. So this is the application of this electric field intensity formula. And whenever you bring a small charge here, I will say I bring a charge of 2 microcoulomb. So how much force it will experience? I will simply multiply the value of that charge with intensity, and I will get the value of force. Very simple. Okay, so if you are given the intensity, to find out the force, you will simply multiply the charge with the intensity and you will find out the force. Okay. Okay. Now I think for today's this is enough.